Hi fighting fans, Tips from the Fight IQ channel. We are back for the 5th episode of our weekly series, The Fight IQ Show. Let me recap the concept for the newbies. I will start by ranking the top 5 fights that happened last weekend, and I will tell you why you should watch it as well. Last week, we didn't have a lot of events this weekend, but some fights were crazy. It was so hard for me to put a top 5 and put some out of the bouts that happened outside this top 5, but yeah, we have to choose. This weekend we had the UFC Singapore, the PFL, the One Friday fights, Usyk vs Dubois, Anderson vs Rudenko, and the BKFC 49. To make this ranking, I was respecting the following criteria: excitement, duration of the fight, opposition level, and way to finish the fight. After that, I will be previewing the top 5 fights that will happen next weekend. So let's get it on. Number 5, Shikadze vs Caceres. It was at the UFC Fight Night in Singapore. It was really what you could expect from two fighters like Shikadze and Caceres. Caceres being the fighter with the most volume and movement, Shikadze sending less strikes but more powerful strikes. It was really fun to watch, a lot of action back and forth, a lot of intensity, some spectacular strikes and kicks. So Shikadze got back in the win column with that victory, but Caceres didn't make it easy for him. Number 4, Erin Blanchfield vs Tyler Santos. It was at the UFC Fight Night in Singapore as well. This one was so interesting, guys. Really high level fight between these two high-ranked flyweights. Tyler Santos completely dominated the first round with the striking, damaging Erin Blanchfield a lot. But in the second round you could see that Blanchfield was not going to let it happen again. She went directly breaking the distance between her and Santos, putting her against the fence, wrestling her, trying to put her on the ground, but Tyler Santos defended so well with her amazing strength. Santos made a mistake at some point, which cost her the round. She tried to take Blanchfield down and got reversed. She could get up eventually, but we were now 1 round for each fighter. During the third round, Santos tried to get back into a striking match, where she would have the advantage, but she was now tired from the wrestling imposed by Blanchfield. She had also a problem with one of her eye, which may have compromised her vision a little bit. Blanchfield went on again with the wrestling, could not take Santos down, but got her tired. She then got the better on the striking exchanges as Santos was exhausted. Blanchfield got the win via unanimous decision, but hats off to both fighters for this massive performance. Blanchfield might have a title shot next. You can rewatch this fight on the UFC Fight Pass. Number 3, Alexander Usyk vs Daniel Dubois. It was for the WBO, IBF, WBA heavyweight titles. I ranked this fight only third as there is quite a controversy about it. Usyk was working his usual game, sticking and moving, constantly using his jab and being the faster fighter. But Dubois came out with a great game plan where he was working the body of Usyk with every shot. That's where the controversy enters. During the 5th round, Dubois caught Usyk with what seems like a legal shot on the replay, but in the heat of the moment, the referee judged that it was a low and illegal blow, allowing Usyk to take his time to recover from it. After that, Usyk tried to stay away from these body shots, but Dubois kept going at it and with success, putting Usyk in trouble a few times. But to be able to touch Usyk's body, Dubois had to get hit, and one cannot get hit too much by someone like Usyk. Also, Usyk's constant movement and harassment made Dubois getting tired. In the 8th round, Usyk knocked him down the first time before putting him out of the fight with a powerful jab in the 9th round. The results might have been different if not for the controversy, but beautiful performance from Usyk, and Dubois might have a bright future in front of him if he keeps fighting smart and getting better. Number 2, Clay Collard vs Shane Burgos. It was in the PFL lightweight semi-final. Wow, what a fight it was. The main event of the PFL didn't disappoint. It was a great striking display where we learned why Clay Collard's nickname is Cassius. He went out in a full boxing mode, showing great head movement, fast and powerful hands against Shane Burgos, who didn't make it easy for him. Indeed, Burgos was kicking Collard's legs during the whole fight, leaving huge marks on it. He also engaged in wrestling exchanges to avoid the punches from Collard. It was a close bout, both dropping each other a few times, but Collard got the win via decision. He will be fighting in the final against Aubin Mercier, and I can't wait to see that, guys. And number 1, Max Holloway vs Korean Zombie, main event of the UFC Fight Night Singapore. Well, what to say. This fight was definitely special. As it was the last appearance of Korean Zombie, the crowd went wild on his walkout, singing the song Zombie from the Cranberries. Gave me the chills, guys. Then the fight went on as expected. A complete slugfest, a lot of wild shots, both testing each other's chin. I have to admit, Holloway took more shots than I expected him to, but he made the fight even more interesting. At some point, Holloway dropped TKZ with a heavy shot, calling for the end of the fight, but the referee didn't stop it. So Holloway engaged in the submission attempt. TKZ didn't tap and went up again. It was crazy. In the third round, Zombie went all out on Holloway, who caught him with a beautiful hook, knocking him out. After that, it was really emotional. Both fighters having a lot of respect for each other. Holloway talking about the fires in Hawaii, and Korean Zombie saying that he will now retires. After that, the song Zombie from the Cranberries went on again as TKZ left the octagon in tears. It was a really special atmosphere. I almost wanted to cry as well. Beautiful finish for this event. You can rewatch this fight on the UFC Fight Pass. As you can see, it's the same top 5 that I previewed last week, just in a different order. To mention this week, look out for Garrett Armfield, who delivered a flawless performance during UFC Singapore, completely dominating his opponent Toshiomi Kazama, who could do nothing to stop him. Also a really impressive performance from Nakamura, who showcased his grappling skills and his huge gas tank against Garcia. I almost squeezed that fight into my top 5. Olivier Aubin-Mercier moves into the PFL lightweight final after a great win against Miranda. He will face Clay Collard in what will be an explosive battle. Jared Big Baby Anderson remains undefeated as he stops Rudenko quite easily. He delivered a good performance with a lot of body shots, but I'd like to see him against tougher opposition. And now, the top 5 fights to watch next weekend. The UFC will be in Paris. I'm pretty excited about it and will dedicate this top 5 entirely to it. Number 5, Nora Cornell versus Jocelyn Edwards. It will be in the prelims. First fight in the UFC for Nora Cornell against the already experienced Jocelyn Edwards, for who it will be the 7th appearance inside the octagon. Even if Edwards is tough, she always went to the distance in all of her UFC appearances, win or lose. I do think that Nora Cornell will be too much aggression for her. First of all, she's amazing on her feet. She comes from Muay Thai, she has a huge punching power. Since she began her pro MMA career, she went 5 victories for 1 defeat, finishing all of her wins before the distance. I think she will get the job done via KO or TKO, showing that she belongs to the big league. Number 4, William Gomis versus Lucas Almeida. I'm pretty excited about this fight, guys. Gomis showed a lot of promises during his first 2 UFC appearances, where he won by decision. I think he keeps getting better, and I can't wait to see what he will do against an aggressive opponent like Almeida, who went only 1 time in his entire career to the decision, where he lost. I would give an edge to Gomis. I think he fought tougher opposition in his career, and if the fight goes to the distance, I'm pretty sure I'll get his end raised. Number 3, Benoit Saint-Denis versus Thiago Moises. I'm so excited about this one. I almost put it higher in the rankings. Saint-Denis just fought 3 months ago and is already back, fighting against a tough opponent like Moises, who went to battle against guys like Makhachev, Dariush, or even Bobby Green. But since Saint-Denis entered the UFC, if you take off his first fight, which he lost against a dirty fighter who was on drugs, he won 3 in a row, finishing the fight every time via TKO or submission. Since his loss against Makhachev in 2021, Moises fought 3 times, first suffering a KO loss versus Joel Alvarez, but then getting 2 submissions win against Giagos and Costa. It will be a really tough fight, but I do think that Saint-Denis has what it takes to get the win before the distance. Number 2, Manon Fiorot versus Rose Namajunas is the co-main event of the UFC Paris. 2 different trajectories in that fight. First, Manon Fiorot, ranked number 2 in the women's flyweight division on a 10 fight winning streak, including 5 in the UFC against tough opposition like Jennifer Maia, Mayra Bueno Silva, and Kathleen Chukagian. On the other side, Rose Namajunas, coming from the strawweight division, where she lost her title against Carla Esparza. A really exciting matchup, 2 high-level athletes with huge fighting resume. One question is, which Rose Namajunas will show up? She can be mentally fragile, unfortunately, but she can also be the determined fighter we saw in her first fight against Zhang Weili when she knocked her out. Also, Rose never lost 2 times in a row in her career, so let's see. This could go either way, to be honest. And number 1, Cyril Gane versus Sergey Spivak, main event of the UFC Paris. Gane has to bounce back from his loss against John Jones, and he will face a tough opponent to do so, Sergey Spivak. I'm really excited to see that. But you will have to be careful, as Spivak is on a 3-fight winning streak where he finished all of his fights by KO or submission. I would say the key is for Gane not to be overconfident and to keep his distance from Spivak, who can be really dangerous on the ground. But as far as stand-up fight goes, I don't see Spivak matching Gane's qualities, and I think Cyril will get a finish on this one. You can watch all of those fights on the UFC Fight Pass, ESPN or RMC if you're in France. Also on my list, you have the Dana White Contender Series Week 4 that will come out just before this video, but I will keep an eye out for sure. Also LFA 166 in Brazil, a lot of Brazilian prospects, keep an eye on it. Jacqueline Cava-Conti will fight at the UFC Paris. She's a tough prospect, she just won the LFA title before going to the UFC. And she's also the only one that beat Nora Cornell in her pro MMA career. So I do hope that at some point these two will meet at the top on the UFC. Morgan Shaya will fight at the UFC Paris. As you know, I already talked about this fighter in my first video. I'm pretty excited to see him there. Liam Smith will fight against Chris Eubanks Jr. in boxing in England. It's a 12-round match. I'm pretty excited also to see this one, so I will keep an eye on it. Also a question for you guys, I am thinking about making a vlog about the travel in Dublin for the Bellator 299, so let me know if it's something that could interest you. So we are done for this week guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please punch that subscribe button to be aware every time I release a new video. Please let me know in the comments what do you think about that vlog ID. Also, which fight did you enjoy the most, which fight are you looking for? I will reply to everybody. Please also follow me on my other social media. I'll release some other kind of contents there, so it can be also interesting for you guys. So I see you next week. Have a nice weekend of fighting, and please guys, take care.